Okay, so for this video, I'm going to be sharing my honest thoughts on the fourth generation as someone who knows popular groups, unpopular groups, and Nugu groups from smaller companies, basically more groups than the average K-pop stan, and who likes to search up and promote new and different groups. And I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the fourth generation on the basis of that. And I'm going to be also talking about different things on the fourth generation and giving my thoughts on if it's true or whatever, blah blah blah, just sharing my thoughts in general. And yeah, that's basically what this video idea is. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you sub to me because I'll be releasing more videos soon. And so let's get into the video without wasting any time.
The first thing is about music. The music itself isn't bad. There are plenty of unpopular and popular songs that I love. As someone who likes to check out groups not on K-pop stans' radar, meaning Nugus and really unpopular groups, alongside popular and well-known unpopular groups, I don't find the fourth generation bad or terrible as some K-pop stans say it is. I've found some amazing diverse, non-noise music that actually slaps, and because I've come to being a research kind of K-tuber who bring Nugus to light, I've come to appreciate the fourth generation instead of just being a K-tuber hating on the music of fourth generation just because they see a couple of groups which are just a small portion of an otherwise large generation. So I've come to find many decent to amazing K-pop songs. Even though this generation is amazing musically, the music of the third gen, popular, unpopular, and Nugus were better for me in comparison. I joined K-pop in 2016, so I know third gen and fourth gen K-pop the most, and knowing a lot of groups than the average K-pop stan, I prefer third gen K-pop or the K-pop between 2011 to 2016, late second gen, third gen start to almost the end if I'm not mistaken. Here are some examples of my fave fourth generation songs, using unpopular K-pop songs here.
I am the one you cannot stay, no way, na 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 na. We are super freaky, A to the Irish. Love so fine, love so fine, for mine. Oh 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 oh. Show me what you got, tell me what you are. Oh oh oh.
The next thing is about talent. People say that the fourth gen lack vocals, but did they really? Well, no. I've said this before about the talent in the fourth gen many times, and it's that fourth generation don't lack vocals. It's probably that other than previous generations the number of talented vocalists are less, but still enough to say fourth generation doesn't lack vocals. The people who say fourth generation lack vocals are ones who don't expand much on K-pop and explore, and use a small handful of groups as solid evidence to continue saying they're rubbish like they're right, when as I said in the first one, those small portion of artists don't make up the whole of the otherwise vast and huge fourth generation filled with many groups debuting each year, bigger budgeted and smaller budgeted. Here are some vocalists that I find good, using underrated vocalists here.
하고 싶은 말을 할게 더 이상 미안하고 Get up, build a fire that I overtake the eye 영원히 나와 Burn it up, burn it up Pictures I'm living through for now Trying to remember Hate this paper heart And I hope
For the rap talent, I'd say that there are pretty good rappers. IDK much about rapping and don't really focus much on rapping, because I'm a vocalist and I look at vocals more. But amongst all the rappers that I've seen, not everyone in the fourth gen, but the ones that I've come in contact with, I did find rappers who are not amazing, but besides them there are some pretty amazing rappers in my opinion in the fourth gen. IDK, how many actual talented rappers are there and if rap talent lacks, but here are some examples of rappers that I think are good, I'm using underrated rappers here. For dance, IDK anything and I'm not gonna assume or say dumb shit, so I'll just leave it.
불러 모아 네 친구들까지 I'm a tongue like 악기 두드려 끝까지 내건 more better 앞이에부터 better 불을 지핀 저 끝을 향해 내가 원한 것은 다 갖기 원해 더 멀어진 나들을 더 남김없이 잡을 수 없게 I'm not your idol man don't say 소리 내가 다 막아놓을게 숨겨진 감의 TV 찾아낸 진실 이미 너와 나만의 비밀 all the
I'm sorry 뭐가 같은 나도 sorry 매일 넌 미안해하겠지 하루 종일 네 눈치만 봐 대로 대로지 말하는 그림을 그리고 원하는 게
새끼를 부리고 쏘구리고 와롱게 봤대 쟤네는 그대로 두고서 흐름을 파네 서투른 판단 내버려 팩대 뚜대고 나들 것만 같은 모든 부위 난 잘하고 싶어 물론 내가 위 가려도 티가 나잖아 너의 몸에.
The next thing is about live performances. People say that lip syncing is becoming more, and I 100% agree, because in the earlier years it was mostly Nugus, unpopular lesser known or smaller company groups who mostly lip sang. But now bigger budgeted and well-known unpopular groups are doing it too. While I agree that lip syncing is more, I don't however agree with the fact that fourth generation is lip syncing as I've heard some K-tubers and K-pop stans say it. The reason is that fourth generation only started lip syncing more in the recent period of the fourth generation, and the fourth generation is said to have started in 2018. The earlier years of the fourth generation is actually different from the current period of the fourth generation. You cannot just generalize and say fourth generation, when lip syncing more is a recent thing that started, and it wasn't always like this towards early fourth generation. Plus, instead of constantly talking about how fourth generation is lip syncing, how lip syncing shouldn't be normalized, and talking about lip syncing for the 1000th time on your channels, why don't you search up for groups who don't lip sync? Just because lip syncing is rising, it doesn't mean everyone is doing it. There are live stages on music shows that exist, and groups who sing live, and you can just find for them on the channels of Inkigayo, Mnet etc. Here are some examples of live singing before and after lip syncing becoming more, using unpopular groups here.
Tell me why, yeah, when you find 물꽃처럼 난 타오르는 듯해 쿵쿵거리는 내 맘에 소리가 퍼지네 You be my boy Every other guy 같은 너의 눈빛들 안에서 Every other line Okay, 걸걸들 잘 말했다 예뻐지려고 왜 이렇게 너와 나게 웃는데
Also, you can check out other types of lives that are actually live and not lip syncing of groups performing. Like radio shows, for example, Arirang Radio or other radio shows where you can hear them actually sing live. Yes, there aren't any dancing done, but at least they sing live. Here are some examples, using unpopular groups. But Arirang has mostly underrated, unpopular and Nugu groups who perform live. You just need to do a bit of research to find shows where they sing live or places where they sing live. Just because groups lip sync on certain shows or on live stages, doesn't mean they do it everywhere.
사이코가 돼 내 편이 좋아 담고 싶지 않아 난 너와
널 본 그 순간 온몸이 간절히 원하고 있어 더 한없이
Amazing baby 네 맘을 따라 Amazing 우리 다시 만나는 그날까지 안녕 안녕 우리 다시 만나는 먼 그날
The last thing is about influencers. I've seen people say that fourth gen idols are influencers more than idols or something, I forgot what it is, and honestly I cannot give a proper opinion on this, because I don't care about this topic to dig deep into it and say my thoughts. I've only seen K-tubers talk about it a little, because I mostly just try to promote the lesser known, unpopular side of the fourth gen and use them to debunk misinformations, and share fourth gen groups that not a lot of people know about. I also try to share the positives of the fourth gen, because people have so many negative things to say about it. I focus more on Nugu, unpopular, smaller label, idol groups, and don't really focus too much on popular, well-known unpopular groups, only the music mostly, unless it's groups I care about and stan. So I could care less to fourth gen being influencers, since I know way too many fourth generation groups, and not all of them, especially smaller unpopular Nugus, are influencers or whatever y'all say fourth generation is, which IDK how true it is, because this thing uninterests me. So is the fourth generation bad? No. The fourth generation is actually quite a decent generation so far. We have some good music, talent and other things. While I prefer third generation for their much more better music, and the fact that a lot of underrated, unpopular and Nugus sang live mostly early third gen to close to middle third gen if I'm not mistaken, I do love that the fourth generation is a good enough generation, where there are things that I can appreciate. Y'all have too many negative thoughts on the fourth generation, because y'all are not exploring more, and letting a small handful of groups make up your minds on the whole large fourth generation, when your thoughts about the fourth generation are only about those small handful of groups and not the whole generation. Boy groups do not only release dark and noise music, fourth generation doesn't lack vocals and fourth generation isn't noise etc. and y'all haven't realized it yet. I've only come to realize these things through myself wanting to explore more in K-pop. Fourth generation is a good one in my books, and it's decent enough for me.